everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jerome Majette. Welcome to Understanding the Reason. Man, I'm so happy and glad that you guys are here. We have a lot to go over today. We're concluding chapter 1 in the book, okay? Understanding the Reason God Made Man, what made him do it. This is started out as a Bible study. I've said this before. Now it's a book. And the reason why we started this is because of a conversation that was really challenging what I believe. And so I had to go back and really study and learn all over again what I believe the scriptures are saying. And as a result, 18 years of study and research brought us here. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you get your copy of the book. Before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe, and put your comments below. Your comments are really helpful. A lot of you guys are really inspiring, and it's beautiful. I feel humbled by that. Okay, but that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so we had established already that we had a eternal enemy that's unseen, who is making accusations before the court of heaven against us. Okay, against our flawed nature. And in our last video, we talked about how we have the nature of God, but we also have our own human flawed, idiosyncrasies, our tendency to revolt against, the law. We're lawbreakers by nature. And so understanding that, we started talking about how, God has given us grace. He's extended grace to us. And what is that? Grace is the unmerited favor of God that you and I cannot ever qualify for. We can't work for it. It's given to us freely by God. So that gives us the ability to make a plea for the anointed one to take up our case in heaven, if that makes sense. So on one side, you have the accuser of the brethren, which is, Satan himself, bringing accusations against humanity. And then you have the anointed one who took our sin on himself. And he is the one that the shout, remember we were talking about that earlier, the shout went out. Now has come salvation and the sovereignty of the anointed one, right? So the anointed one took on our debt, our sin debt. Okay, so this thing is all legal, and we're going to break that down. We're going to get into it, man. It's fast. It's going to blow your mind. It blew my mind. Okay, and I'm a PK. I've been around this stuff all my life, and finally, the picture is in the scriptures is so beautiful as far as the future and what happens after we leave here. Okay, so we've been talking about that. Like, why are we here? What's the purpose of this life? Why are we here? And so understanding that we had an enemy who tried to take over heaven, he got banished, kicked out, and the sovereignty of God was transferred to the anointed one. And through the anointed one, we're able to get grace to help us overcome our legal situation, which is based on the edict from heaven that says all have sinned and fallen short of the standard of God. And sin is violation of divine law. That's what started all of this. Satan's the evil, the wickedness, and the sinfulness, the lawlessness, the mystery of iniquity started in the heart of this rogue spirit. And then he transferred that to 1/3 of the angels, and then they were kicked out when they got here. Their whole purpose is to destroy the image of God, and that's who we are, made in the image of God. So let's conclude chapter 1 of the book. Make sure you get your copy. The link is in the description. If it's not clickable, just go ahead and copy and paste it into your URL, and let's get it done. Okay, so we're going to start reading. We're going to start reading right here in chapter 1. I'm on page 32. And I want to go back to something I talked about earlier in this chapter. I believe it sheds further light on God's intention in creating mankind. Ezekiel 28 write this down, Ezekiel 28, verses 11 through 19, presents a curious statement that stands out in God's promise to Satan that provokes additional thought. Embedded in this response is, I will lay you before kings. He said, I will lay you before kings. What does that mean? What does that mean? This statement raises my curiosity. Why kings? What did God intend for this statement to reveal? He said, I'm going to lay you before kings. So what is he talking about? Right? So that's what we're talking about here. Where are these kings? Were the kings on earth when he made this statement? Were the kings angelic angels in heaven? Were there angelic kings? No. There had not been an angelic king or prince until after man was created. And since God had not yet created man at the time of his interaction with Satan, that ruled out kings on earth. That ruled out kings on earth, right? So the following statements positioned together shed light on God's overall intent. We see this in this proclamation that we talked about earlier in Revelation chapter 12, verse 10. Now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his anointed one. For the accuser of our brethren is cast out. Right? So that we got that. Also, when we add what God told Satan, I will lay you before kings, it lends the ideal of foreknowledge. It points to a specific plan being crafted for a particular purpose. According to these statements right here, these two statements positioned together, we have the fall and then we have the response. Okay, so the plan of God. Actually, one of the diverse characteristics of the supreme mind identified in Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10, is that God knows and declares the end from the beginning. The accuser was intended or indeed cast down. I think we have a firm grasp on that. We got that locked in, right? So he's cast down, right? He was cast out. I think we got that part. Okay, we got that part. This being understood, I believe the kings mentioned at the time of this proclamation is referring to us, kings and queens of the Most High. We are called the heirs of God and the joint heirs with the anointed one. Man, this is powerful. Before the world was created, God had a plan called salvation. What was this plan? Why did God develop it? We now know it was his response to a rebellious angel that caused the war in heaven. Because of this spirit, the holy places in heaven were defiled. Okay? Consequently, God had to move in a new way, in a new direction. So God had to respond to this thing. So Satan created this iniquity in his heart that escaped his heart, that he used to influence the angels and defile the holy places in heaven. So God had to respond to that. That could not be unchecked. That could not go unchecked. It had to be dealt with. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in our next video to really conclude this first chapter. Man, I'm excited that you guys came. I'm excited that you're here. It's always good to go into these deeper things, man. Please share, like, and subscribe to the channel. Let somebody know what we're doing over here. Make sure you get your book, Understanding the Reason God Made Man, What Made Him Do It. Also, stay to the end of the video because I'm honoring everybody that either has a t-shirt or has the book and giving them a shout out and sharing them with the rest of the world. God bless you guys, man. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Peace.